It's September time in the UK, so it's mushroom season. I'm out in the woods with my wife and my unborn child, and we just came across this. This is a beefsteak fungus. Now, apparently these are edible, and I've never eaten one. They've got a lot of tannins in them, which makes them quite bitter. So we are actually going to take this one today, and we're going to go home and cook it and see how it tastes. So here it is, and look how gelatinous it is.
The beefsteak fungus, or ox tongue, in Latin is called Fistulina hepatica. Hepatica is Greek for resembling the liver, as you can see, and of course beefsteak comes from its juicy texture and the red blood-like liquid it exudes. Fistulina hepatica, when it rots oak, gives it a discoloration that is prized by cabinet makers for furniture. Like most mushrooms, Fistulina hepatica contains very many interesting compounds. Antibacterial compounds, antioxidant compounds, and even some compounds that have been shown to be effective against sarcoma and carcinoma.
So I'm going to cut a small amount of this off just to try raw, because apparently you can eat this raw. Definitely looks like flesh. Alright, so I've just seen the bit I've chopped off. I'm going to try this then, raw. Wow, it really does have a texture, a bit like raw beef actually, if you've ever had a really rare steak. It actually does taste a bit like beef, like raw beef. I'm quite interested to see how that tastes cooked now, so let's cook a bit and see. So in order to cook it, let's cut it. We'll cut it this way actually, it should be easier. There you go. If that doesn't look like meat, I don't know what does. I'm going to cook this like you would a steak. So I'm going to cook it, heat the oil up really hot in the pan, and then chuck it in, and sear it on both sides, keep turning it for a few minutes, a couple of minutes. I'm going to separate off the gelatinous bit and see what the gelatinous bit tastes like on its own, but mainly just cook the fleshy bit. The oil in here is nice and hot now, so time to add in the bits of steak. And I've got that stuff as well. I'll just put a bit of that gloopy mess in there just to see what it does really. Turn this over. I heard it goes black when cooking. Definitely going black. Well, that's been cooking for about 3 minutes now, and since you can cook it, eat it raw anyway, I'm actually going to stop that now. Leave it to rest for a second. Let's take a look at it then. There it is. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to test this out. It certainly is a little bit sour. a little bit too acidic to be kind of meaty. So perhaps soaking it in milk for a couple of hours, as some of the books suggest, is probably a good idea. Otherwise it does have a mushroomy taste. Perhaps the sourness to it makes it taste more meaty. So I'd probably only soak it for a little bit if I was going to do that again. Otherwise it's not a bad mushroom. It certainly isn't really meaty, it's more mushroomy. Not like chicken in the woods, which tastes like chicken. Well, there you go. That's beefsteak fungus, cooked from the woods, and tastes probably just basically mushroomy with a bit of a sour aftertaste. So not meaty at all, really. Okay, so one thing I'd just like to say finally about collecting mushrooms from the woods is you've got to make sure that you know what you're eating, so don't eat death caps. And my wife is pregnant, so she didn't eat any, because with mushrooms you've got to be very careful when you haven't eaten them before, and you know, we're not going to risk anything with a unborn child. So that's one thing. Finally, what I'd like to say is, if you can, avoid buying the wild mushrooms that they sell in things like Tesco's and Sainsbury's and so on, because I think it has the potential to damage the woodland, because they go in gangs and they kind of strip mine the entire woods, pick everything and take it to warehouses and then go and sort it out. If a few of us go out and every now and again pick mushrooms, and not that many people are interested in it, then it's not going to damage the woods. But on this large scale where the woods are kind of being mined, if you like, for mushrooms, I can't see how this is really sustainable. So avoid buying wild mushrooms from supermarkets if you can, because you know what they're going to do, you know how they treat people, farmers and so on. You know what they're going to do to the woods and everything else. Okay, anyway, sorry to end on a kind of sour note there, but I hope that was useful to you, and looking forward to showing you more stuff about the woods in the future.